Imagine you wake up tomorrow morning and check your phone. Your food delivery app suddenly doubled its prices. Gas cost 3 times more than yesterday. The stock market closed. And your bank app says, temporary service interruption. At first, you think it's just another economic crisis. But then, the news alert appears. 3 words: World War III. My name is JC. And I spend way too much time thinking about how global events quietly control your money. Because today, we're breaking down something most people never think about. If you're someone who tries to save, invest, or simply survive rising prices, while the world keeps getting more unstable, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because the real question is this: what would actually happen to the world and your money if World War III started tomorrow? Most people imagine war as something that only affects soldiers and battlefields. You picture tanks, missiles, and military strategies. But historically, the first place war shows up isn't the battlefield. It's your wallet, your grocery store, your job, your bank account. And the strange part is that the real economic shock doesn't come from bombs. It comes from uncertainty. Because when people start believing the system might collapse, they begin behaving very differently with their money. Modern economies run on confidence, not gold, not cash. Confidence. Banks operate because people trust the system will work tomorrow. Businesses hire because they believe customers will keep spending. Investors buy stocks because they believe the future will grow. But war destroys confidence faster than almost anything else. Look at history. When World War II began in 1939, major stock markets across Europe shut down almost immediately. In the United States, the government prepared emergency banking controls in case panic spread. Because the biggest danger during massive geopolitical shocks is not destruction. It is panic. When people panic financially, they do 3 things almost instantly. First, they rush to withdraw money. Second, they stop spending. Third, they hoard essential goods. And when millions of people do those 3 things at the same time, entire economic systems start freezing. In the early stages of a global conflict, it often looks less like war and more like sudden economic chaos. The first place a global war disrupts everyday life is something most people never think about: supply chains. The modern world runs on an incredibly fragile system of global trade. Your groceries, electronics, gasoline, even medicine travel through multiple countries before reaching your city. Over 80% of global trade moves by sea. Container ships, oil tankers, cargo routes connecting continents. Imagine those routes suddenly becoming dangerous. Ports close. Shipping insurance costs explode. Military blockades appear. Ships stop moving as freely as before. And when shipping slows down, store shelves start changing. Certain products disappear. Prices rise faster than people expect. We've already seen smaller versions of this. During the COVID supply chain crisis, shipping delays caused electronics shortages, car prices surged, and everyday items became harder to find. During the 1973 oil crisis, fuel prices in some countries nearly quadrupled. Gas stations had lines stretching down entire streets. Now imagine those disruptions happening simultaneously across food, fuel, technology, and manufacturing. Because the first signal of global instability usually isn't missiles, it's empty shelves and rapidly rising prices. Okay, prices go up.
Inflation?
But my job should still be fine, right? Well, maybe. Maybe not. Because businesses respond to uncertainty by protecting cash. During major global crises, companies delay investments, cancel expansion plans, and reduce hiring. According to data from the International Labor Organization, global conflicts historically lead to massive employment instability across non-military sectors. And here's the psychological reason. When leaders don't know what tomorrow looks like, they stop making long-term decisions. That means fewer promotions, fewer raises, and sometimes layoffs. Again, This isn't because companies want to hurt workers. It's because uncertainty forces them into survival mode. Now here's where it gets really serious. Banks sit at the center of everything in the modern economy. The modern banking system runs on something called fractional reserves, which means banks only keep a small portion of deposits in cash. The rest of that money gets invested, loaned, or circulated throughout the economy. But problems begin when many people try to withdraw money at the same time. And when that happens, the system experiences something called a bank run. And history has shown this happening again and again. In 1930, during the Great Depression, thousands of American banks collapsed. We even saw smaller versions during regional bank crises in 2022 and 2023. Now imagine that kind of panic spreading globally during a major conflict. Governments would almost certainly step in to control the situation. Temporary banking restrictions, capital controls, and emergency financial policies. Not because the money disappeared, but because the system needs time to stabilize. But here's the deeper layer most people overlook in financial crises during wartime. Financial crises during wartime are driven more by psychology than economics. Humans are wired to prioritize survival whenever uncertainty suddenly rises. And that completely changes the way people begin making financial decisions. Behavioral economists call this powerful instinct something known as loss aversion. People fear losing what they already have far more than gaining something new. So when uncertainty suddenly spikes across markets and society, people start holding cash, delaying spending, and avoiding almost all risk. The real problem appears when millions of people make that same decision. Because when spending slows everywhere, the entire economic system begins slowing down. This is why governments move quickly during financial crises and wars. Because confidence is the invisible engine powering the entire modern financial system.
Now here's what most people don't realize. Historically, the people who navigate crises best are not the ones who panic first. They're the ones who prepare early. Look at families who lived through World War II or major financial collapses. They focused on three things: stability, liquidity, and adaptability. They reduced unnecessary debt. They kept emergency savings. And they developed skills that remained useful regardless of economic conditions. Because during unstable periods, flexibility becomes more valuable than prediction. So if you're watching this and thinking, okay, what should I actually do with this information? Here are a few simple steps experts consistently recommend. First, build an emergency fund, 3 to 6 months, of essential expenses. Second, avoid excessive debt. Debt becomes dangerous when income is uncertain. Third, diversify income if possible. Side skills, remote opportunities, additional income streams. They increase resilience. And fourth, stay informed, but don't panic. Because reacting emotionally to uncertainty often causes more damage than the event itself. So if a global conflict started tomorrow, the real story wouldn't just be about military strategy. It would be about how millions of people react financially. Because wars don't just reshape borders. They reshape behavior, prices change, markets react, jobs shift. But underneath all of that, the real driver is confidence. And once you understand that, you start realizing something powerful. The most valuable financial skill during uncertain times isn't prediction, it's preparation. Look, nobody can control global events, but you can control how prepared you are when uncertainty appears. Because history shows something very clearly. Crises expose financial weaknesses, but they also reward preparation. So if this video helped you understand how money, psychology, and global events connect, subscribe to the channel. Because the goal here isn't just learning about money, it's learning how the world actually works so you can make smarter decisions before everyone else reacts.